Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ntwaniengomane. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and welcome to today's video. We meet again. Finally, it is a Sunday. I am so glad that you guys decided to tune into today's video, and thank you so much for all the suggestions that you guys put through. Today we're talking about my dating woes, and we'll get into the reasons why dating is not a goal for me. Towards the end of the video, I will explain why I say that. So just a bit of background, guys. Yeah, I feel so out of place because this topic is really just not something I talk about. Like, it's a part of my life that I've kept very private. Probably only like my very close friends know about it. And yeah, it feels so I feel so out of brand, like speaking about this. I know my mom watches my videos, so mom, you might wanna turn this off right now, but it's not too bad. So let's get to it. Right, so my dating life, guys, begins in grade 7, I think. I think grade 7 is when I start noticing boys in class. I feel like before then, we were all just kids. Like, we were all just friends in the classroom and all of that. And I say my reference is school because I grew up. This is gonna be such a backward, but to cut the long story short, I was born in a township, but then my parents and I relocated to a village where I grew up. So around the village, I didn't have a lot of friends outside my cousins. So the only time I'd be exposed to boys and other kids would be when I'm in school. So that's why my frame of reference is a classroom. So grade 7 is when I start noticing boys, and people generally started dating in grade 7 in the school that I was in. And the way this guy and I started dating was, he didn't even ask me out. Now that I actually think about it, he didn't even ask me out. It was just, I like you, I like him, and we weren't even speaking like directly to each other. I would speak to his friend, and then his friend would speak to him, and then him to his friend back to me. It was weird. But yeah, started dating grade 7. And of course, we're young. We're in grade 7. We're trying to hide this thing from our parents. Our teachers find out, first of all, and then our teachers tell my mom. And my mom, of course, tells my dad, and then we have the whole grown-up conversation around sex and stuff, and you will fall pregnant. I was in grade 7, guys, but I feel like at that point, that's when my parents decided it was the right time to have the adult conversation. So we had that conversation, and then they told me, you guys need to break up. And of course, I was in grade 7, I didn't know any better. If my parents say do this, I'ma do it. So because I'm afraid of the consequences of whatever it is that they were gonna do to me. So I go back to the guy and I tell him, my parents found out about us, I don't want to break up, I really like you, but because my parents say so, and I need a place to sleep and I need food and stuff. So eventually we break up, but that was grade 7. So that was my very first experience of dating. And at that time, there wasn't like going out on dates. Guys, were in grade 7. We didn't have money. Like, I used to have like 5 rand when I went to school at the time. That was my pocket money. So we didn't have like all of these dates and stuff and activities we do together. We're just dating because actually our relationship existed within the walls of school. So yeah, that outside of school, he would go to his house and I would be transported back to the village. I wouldn't see him on the weekend. I'll see him Monday to Friday, and that's how it worked. So fast forward, grade 7, grade 8. When I got to grade 8, we'd already broken up, so that was over. When I got to grade 8, that's when like a lot of my friends then started dating a lot, or at least changing boyfriends from grade 7, because now in high school you meet new people. So I changed my school. From primary school I went to a private school, and then in high school I went to a public school. So then because of that change in schools, I had new friends and obviously met new boys and new guys and everything. So everyone just was in that phase where they were getting new partners, new boyfriends, girlfriends and stuff. But for me, I don't know, I feel like I've always been a socially awkward person. Like, I got there, I mean, there were people I knew from my last primary school and stuff, and new people who were there, but I didn't particularly feel attracted to anyone. And I think equally people looked at me, and because I was just socially awkward, my face was not a friendly, inviting face. Like, I was probably just sitting there like straight face all the time, and people thought I was unapproachable, right? So during that time, people get boyfriends and stuff. It happens. That's grade 8. And then while all that was happening, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on my schoolwork, because that's where I excel the most, and that was the bit of my life that I could control and was going well. I couldn't control guys approaching me. I couldn't control who asks me out, and I definitely, because of my social anxiety, I wasn't at a point where I could approach guys either. So I focused on my schoolwork all the way from grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. I mean, I was acing school, guys. I was acing school at that time. And grade 8, 9, 10, grade 11, and then matric. So in matric, I don't know what came over me, but I was still like a very bright kid at that time. Made my parents proud and everything. But then I was like, it would be nice, to start dating again. So stuff happened, and eventually me and the guy I broke up with in grade 7, what's the word? Rekindled our relationship, rekindled our love at that time. So we started dating again, and then in grade 12, by the time I was in grade 12, my family and I had relocated from the village back into the township. Guys, that's a whole story on its own. But to cut it short, we had relocated back from the village to the township. So we stayed around the same area now. So in matric, the school I went to was much closer to my house, so I would just walk to school, and he would literally walk me home on some days. And when I used to go to church practice on Saturday, he would like cover me after the practice when I go home. Like, it was cute, right? It was really cute, and it gave like high school sweetheart type of thing. So that relationship went on from matric, first year, second year, third year, literally matric, first year, second year, third year, 4 years. I think we dated for about 4 and a bit to 5 years from matric. So it was really like high school sweetheart stuff. But when all those years were going on, we weren't living in the same area. So I went to uni in Pretoria, and he went to uni somewhere else. So it was a long distance thing, and I'll probably see him like twice a year, maybe. Like in June when we go back home, or in December when we go back home for Christmas. So it was probably like my first real adult relationship. I mean, at that point we're like 18, 19, 20, until maybe 21, 22. So it was like my first real adult relationship, and I was still dating the guy I had dated in grade 7. So that relationship lasted for 5 good years, and I think just because of the distance between us, me being in Pretoria and him being wherever I was in uni, a lot of stuff happens in long distance relationship, and I have nothing against long distance relationships. Like, if you're in a long distance relationship, happy for you, like, love it for you guys, but it's definitely something I would never ever do again willingly. Going into it eyes wide open, I would not do that. Yes, I can get in a relationship with you and we stay in the same area, and then maybe subsequent to that one of us moves away, then I can do a long distance. But right now, me get into a relationship with somebody who's based in another country, another city, been there, done that, no thank you. Yeah, that relationship lasted for that long, and I mean, at some point in my life, I really thought like that was gonna be the person I marry. I mean, at that time, you know, the pressure to get married didn't exist in my life. Like, we were just dating because we loved each other, we liked each other, we enjoyed each other's company, you know. Did we have conversations about marriage and kids and stuff? Yes, we did, but it was not the primary reason for us dating, at least not for me. You know, we just really loved each other's company, and if it led to marriage, then that's what it would have been. But unfortunately it didn't, so we broke up. I think when I was in CTA, when I was in CTA, that's when we officially ended things. In between there were breaks and back and forth. You know how it is in a relationship, right? Like, you break up, you get back, you break up, all of that. But officially broke up, all communications cut, you know, like all of that stuff happened when I was in CTA. And if you're wondering, like, how did you do CTA and go through all of, I did. Okay, I did. That's the bottom line. It was probably one of the hardest years, not even just academically, but in just grieving the loss of this relationship, grieving the absence of this man in my life, and, you know, just grieving the goals and, you know, the dream and the picture that I had painted in my mind of what my future was gonna look like with this man. So it was a lot. That year was a lot. It's probably the year that I cut off my hair as well, because I was just like, yo guys, kuningi and giwani. So following that year, after the breakup, obviously, like, I stay a bit, you know, I'm not dating, I'm just literally trying to finish CTA at this point, and I'm trying to pass this thing at this point. And, you know, this relationship has just affected me so much, because another thing that you need to consider is that before you actually break up with somebody, there's a series of events that happens that eventually lead to the breakup. So going through all of those things that happened just before we broke up took a toll on me. So yeah, it was quite a hectic year. I remember speaking to somebody about it, and they were giving me advice, but it was not advice I was going to take, because it just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense to me at that time. So this person that I was speaking to about this whole situations ended up telling my mom literally everything, and my mom knew. And yeah, my parents and I didn't develop a relationship where we talk about boys. The relationship between my parents and I with boys has always been don't date, you know, it's always been stay away from boys, it's always been, you know, that type of relationship. So even when they heard about the stuff I was going through in my relationship because of this third person that I'd spoken to, there was no relationship between me and them to have the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when your parents just always tell you to stay away from boys and don't do that, but then now that you're older, they want to know what's going on, but they can't really ask you because they didn't build their relationship with you. They didn't build that foundation to make you feel comfortable enough to talk about boys. And they want to know now that I'm older, like, what's going on, sis? But like, they can't ask me because that foundation was just never built between me and them. So I mean, I was really mad that this person that I had confided in ended up telling my whole business to my mom, who then obviously would tell my whole business to my dad, you know. But it's fine, it's whatever, you know. Maybe they needed to know, but it is what it is. But we never spoke about it. Like, until today, we have never spoken about it with my mom. And I know she knows, because I know she was told. But anyway, fast forward, articles. Yo, guys, articles are my busy babe, okay? Like, I'm a corporate hand, you know. I got work, I got responsibilities, you know. I'm a working girl, you know what I mean? Like, I don't got time for this thing. Okay. So articles, I mean, during the whole of my article years, I was never in a stable relationship. There was not a one point where I had a stable relationship where I'd be like, oh, I saw a future with this man. It was just like 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there, a month here, 2 months here type of thing. Like, it was very sporadic, all over the place, and no commitment. Sorry guys, I ran out of space. The video stopped recording, so I had to change my SD card. But I was still saying that in articles, yeah, there was no real commitment in the relationships that I've had then. It was really just, you know, as and when it happens, it happens. There was no strings attached. There was no intention of, you know, long-term stuff and whatever. But yeah, I think after that, I think also just from my perspective as well, I wasn't looking for anything long term. And because one, I was still healing from that previous one, and I knew also that I was gonna leave the country after my 3rd year. So because I didn't want to be in a long distance relationship, I wasn't planning on, you know, committing to anything long term. Because like I said, I'm not gonna walk into a long distance relationship willy-nilly. It's not gonna happen. So then, yeah, that was my article years, really. So I moved here, and yo, the dating scene in the UK for me has been quite difficult. I think that whole social awkwardness has just stayed with me over the years, and I've just never really been a person who puts themselves out there. I remember last week I was speaking to somebody at the office, and they're like, oh, you need to put yourself out there, you know, you need to maybe start going physically to church and going out more. But in my mind, I'm just like, it's so much effort, guys. It's so much effort to wake up on a Saturday, get ready, and go somewhere with no plan, just so you put yourself out there and just so people see you. Like, for me, if I'm gonna leave my house, there must be a reason why I'm leaving my house. There must be something compelling for me to leave my house. But yeah, I think being here, I've had more luck in actually matching with people on the dating apps than I've had meeting people physically. So I've matched with people on the dating apps, and we've spoken, and you know, through the conversation, you know, I found out like it's not somebody I want to be with long term. You know, the one guy was 35, living with his mom, has kids. I don't even know what he was doing on the apps because he has a wife, I found out from our conversations. So I was just like, what's the point, you know? The other guy also had children. I don't know, maybe I needed to change my setting because it kept suggesting people who have children. And for me, I have nothing against people who have children, but I don't think it's not something that I want. I personally wouldn't want to be in a relationship with somebody who has children, just because I don't think I'm mentally at a point where I can accommodate children, whether somebody else or my own. That's why I also don't have kids, because I'm not at a mental capacity or maturity enough to handle children. So that was the one thing. And then I met this guy. I met this guy who was living in another country. He's still living in another country. He's not in the UK. We started talking, and like, it was good, it was well. And then we decided to meet up, which then guys, now that I actually tell the story, this is so crazy. Like, I could have been kidnapped, I could have been killed, I could have been sold somewhere, and no one would ever find me, because no one, literally no one, knew about this. Why am I sharing my whole life on the internet? We spoke, and then we finally decided to meet, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna get you on a flight, you should fly over to said country that I'm not gonna mention. So guys, guys, God is graceful. God is so graceful. Like, that was so risky. I got on the plane, guys. I got on the plane, flew to meet said man, and like, the expectations were met. We clicked, we talked some more, and it was really great. But as time goes on, and like, you start uncovering somebody's beliefs and values and stuff like that, we realized, actually, nah, it's not gonna work. We're not that compatible. Like, it was great in the surface area, like in the beginning conversations day to day, but when it comes to the actual, like, values and stuff that is important to us, we're just, like, on a different wavelength. So then that ended, and since then I haven't been looking. And that brings me to the reason why I say dating is not a goal for me, because I just feel like with goals, right, a goal for me is something you can work towards and ultimately achieve, right? You may have to work towards it with the help of other people, but it mainly depends on the efforts that you put in to achieve that goal. And for me, dating is so hard to achieve because it's not dependent on me. There is no amount of effort that I can put on a day-to-day for me to achieve dating in the next 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that needs to happen. Number one, it depends on somebody asking me out, right? If I'm not being asked out, if nobody's gonna ask me out or approach, or like, literally, there is nothing I can do. I think also dating depends on two people. It's not a one-man job, right? It's not something I can work towards by myself and achieve. It's not a degree. It's not a work objective. It's not a file. It's just not something I solely can do by myself and achieve. It needs two people for it to work. And so I feel, because of that reason, it is out of my control. It is really out of my control. Whether or not I date is not solely dependent on me. It's dependent on me and another person. I cannot control what this person values. I cannot control, how serious this person takes the relationship for us to work towards it. I cannot control when this person decides to love me. I cannot control when this person decides to commit in a relationship. There's so many things that I cannot control, and that's why I say, for me, dating is not a goal. Like, it's something I can never achieve my way into. And so that's why it's not something I'm actively working on. Yes, I will get on the apps every now and again. Maybe I will go out once in a while and stuff. If it happens, great, it happens. But can you imagine a life where every Friday you're putting on makeup, you're getting a dress on, you're getting nice shoes, you're smelling nice, just to go to some place and sit and hope that somebody will notice you? For me, it's absurd. Like, it's so much effort. And maybe you're there and you're thinking, well, why don't you approach? For me, it just feels unnatural. I'm sorry. Like, I'm one of those girls who are like, approach me. Like, why must I be the one who does the chase? Like, as a girl, I can't. Like, pursue me. Like, I have to be pursued. Like, I am the prize. You know what I mean? Like, I am the prize. And for me, it just feels so unnatural that I would be the one doing the chasing and I'll be the one doing up the approaching. And I think that's why I feel that men have much more control, because then they can initiate the stuff, while for me, it's so much difficult to initiate the process of dating. So yeah, that is my dating life, you guys. That is my dating life until this point. I feel like I'm so naked in front of you guys on the internet. I feel like everybody knows my love life now, but really that's what it's been. And I think I've also just grown as a person as well, compared to, when I think about the types of, like, you have your checklist and, the type of things you want in a man and stuff. That list has changed so much now compared to back then. Now I feel like I cannot put anything in the list that is something that I cannot achieve myself. So I cannot ask for this man to be somebody who has a toned body and somebody who works out and somebody who takes care of their health and has this six-pack and stuff, when it's something that I myself have not achieved, or it's something that I myself cannot achieve. So I feel like I've grown so much in my checklist that I cannot expect another person's son to have certain qualities that I do not have in myself. Would I go and date somebody who does not value traveling, who does not value family, who does not value spending money to better their lives? Probably not. Because why? I value, spending money to better my life. I value travel. For me, travel is not a waste of money. I value family. So for me to be with somebody who has broken relationships or unmended relationships with their family would be difficult, and it's probably not something I would want for myself. So I feel like the list for me has changed with maturity now compared to back then. But I also think work has contributed to it, because we at work like 8 hours a day and you don't have time to meet people. And the thing is, at work, you don't go to work with the mentality of scouting for a boyfriend, like, it's not the type of environment that cultivates intimate relationships or that cultivate romantic relationships. You just go there for work, to go do your bits, get paid, go home. So also, yes, I do agree needing to put myself out there, but at the same time, it's quite a lot of effort. Like, it's really just too much effort. So yeah, that's it from me, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I hope like you guys get a little bit of insight now into my journey in dating. It has nothing to do with work, you guys. The work has never stopped me from actually dating or actually going out there and being with somebody. I've never had to sacrifice a relationship for work, or sacrifice work for a relationship, or anything like that. If anything, I think for me, relationships are much more important than work. If it came to a decision where I had to decide between a relationship and work, I'd probably choose the relationship, but of course not for like just a boyfriend. You know what I mean? That there are levels to this thing. There are certain levels to this thing. But I think for me, work is a means to make money, and work can change. But the relationships you build with people, whether romantic, whether family, friends, whatever, those are much more important than any day job that you could ever do. So for me, my job has absolutely no influence on my relationships. But maybe in the next video, someday, we'll talk about just the way I have been perceived in the dating world as a professional, or as a working girl, as a working corporate girl, now in these relationships, compared to before I started working, and how that has changed for me, and how people now view me and see me because of the work that I do compared to back then. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, drop a comment. Let me know if there's anything you want me to expand on or cover on this topic of relationships and finding men's and stuff, drop me down a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.